sis. How are you?
Good.
Mack, yes, yeah.
Next
wow. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you today.
Oh, me too.
You are inspiration to so many young people.
Thank you.
I like your show.
Thank you
and
so
I never
much.
knew that would be a turn of my daughter. So, thank you for doing what you do, okay?
I mean, we need to thank you. Because of you, she's encouraged to come back to Ghana. How important was it for you when Jewel was growing up for you to instill Ghana in her?
Yeah, it was very, very important because, as you know, she's my only daughter. And thinking about the legacy that I have to leave behind. If I don't really instill my culture and, put into her the love of my country, which is her country, then what it is, So as an early age, I have been coming here with her 2 years, 6 years, all the time. Anytime I get my vacation, we come to, Ghana, but most of the time too, we go outside because I wanted her to know the world. I raised her to be a global citizen.
Wow.
Because at one point when I came home and I was going to spend about maybe 3 months in Ghana, because I was trying to put up something here. So what happened is, I left her with a babysitter in Ghana here, and the woman had about 5, 7 children with her. And when I came back, my daughter had only her underwear and things like that. And I asked her, what my daughter's clothes? She said, your daughter saw somebody came in and know that the child didn't have any clothes on. And she took her clothes and gave it to the person.
Wow.
The child was just, hot. So they have taken off the doctor that the child didn't have anything.
Wow.
And that's the time that I got to know that my daughter has something special. She loves people. Giving, charity. Everything,
Wow.
So at an early stage, I just made up my mind to help her in any capacity that I can. So, I put her in so many things since I was a working mother. And so she went through ballet, she went through this thing. I took her modeling. In fact, with America Next Top Model, my daughter was selected in Atlanta.
Wow.
And she was taken to New York to be chosen for the final 20.
Oh, wow.
And my niece that I sent her to paying about $2,000 because the information came very, late. But when you're paying one-way ticket to go to somewhere, it's so expensive that you go to Britain.
Absolutely.
And so I paid so much money, and then she got to New York, and my cousin took her through subway. So she was late.
She was late for it.
So in an early stage, I've tried to push her into so many things.
Well done, Mommy.
I love her,
Yeah.
and I know that she was going to be somebody special. So when you study your child and you know where the person is going, it's better to push them.
Wow.
And I did my best to do, with the grace of God, to try to the best school. She went to a private university.
Wow.
And I was a Ghanaian. Every Ghanaian, this one was saying, "What, are you crazy?"
Wow.
And I said, if that is going to give her the best of education, why?
I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
It's the foundation that you gave her that, she is who she is today.
Right now.
Because as we know, it's our parents that molds us. We spend more time with them. If the soil is right at home, they'll definitely flourish. Right. So Mama Grace, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For being such a beacon and a powerful woman behind your daughter. She's definitely drawn inspiration from you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I'm going to interview Jewel and find out about all that she's doing in Ghana. Have you heard about the Diaspora Transition Network? If you haven't, then this is an opportunity to know more about this organization. Now, if you're somebody that lives in the diaspora that's looking to move back home to Ghana, or somebody that's already moved back to Ghana and set up your business, and you're thinking, I want to have a network of people that are like me, that have moved back, this is the community that you need to join. Now, all you have to do is basically follow the link that's below, the Survey Monkey, and you can register today. Now the community is going to be looking at networking opportunities, business opportunities, and just, having a place where you can diverse and interact with people who have also moved from the diaspora. Now, even if you're having problems with tax issues, for instance, we would call the GRA to come and discuss with us how the tax system works in Ghana. If you're having issues with registering your business, we will get the registry's office to come and speak to us. Any other issues, you would have other diasporans who have been through it, who have done it, who have worn the t-shirt, and you would have that support system by joining the Diaspora Transition Network.
Born in New York, raised in Atlanta, and has finally transitioned 3 years ago. And she has no regrets. She's loving Ghana. And definitely on this conversation, she'll be telling you her journey so far, moving to Ghana, what she's been through, buying a property, you know, all of that. But one thing that I must say, that she is a beauty queen. Yes, I'm interviewing a beauty queen. She was Miss Ghana in Georgia. My guest today, her name is Jewel Nana Thompson. Jewel, welcome to the Diaspora Transition.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to be sitting next to a true Ghanaian princess, a Miss Ghana. How was that? How was it like doing Miss Ghana?
Oh my goodness. So that's an interesting story, because when I was younger, I was actually shy, extremely reserved, very quiet. And the thing about it is that when I'm around family and friends, much like quiet people, you always perk up, you start talking. So I used to argue about everything that's happening politically, things that are going on. And my mom was like, you have a passion, you have a voice, like people need to hear this. And so she was extremely active in the Ghanaian community when we were in Atlanta, and she found out that they were putting on a pageant. There was an organizer coming together to do it. And she said, you should do this. You have things you care about. And I was like, me? You know, I'm like, tall. I look nice now, but back then I'm just all tall and lanky and, you know, quiet. But I got the confidence together, and my mom really invested in me.
Wow.
So we went to take modeling classes so I could learn how to walk, talking, pacing myself, just for this opportunity.
Wow.
And I went ahead and competed, and to my surprise, actually, I wasn't sure if I was going to get it, because the other girls were just as equally talented. And next thing you know, they called my name, and I just came up front and did my pose like, oh wow, I'm really Miss Ghana.
Wow.
Well, Miss Ghana, Georgia, let's say
Ghana,
that. Miss
Georgia.
Ghana, Georgia.
Wow,
Yeah.
well done.
Thank you.
And you mentioned your mother right at the beginning of talking about the journey in doing Miss Ghana.
Yeah.
And she seems to be a very significant person in your life, like any other mother. But from a young age, she started feeding you with Ghana.
She did.
Do you think that that's what's helped you make this transition?
Absolutely. I think it is my mother's inspiration. It's her grace, which is her name. And of course, just kind of God's guidance in creating these moments where I knew I was going to end up back here. So when I was younger, my mom used to bring me back to Ghana, you know, for summers, and, you know, winters will come. And I was a baby then. And it wasn't until I was about maybe 16 years old that it finally struck me that this is something that, you know, is interwoven into who I am. Because, you know, growing up in America, there's a certain duality that you have, right? Where on one end, you are living in America, you are American, and transitioning from New York to Atlanta, that's a completely different culture shock, you know, where you're going from the north to the south, and the south is different. But the south, what it reminded me of was home, community, because my mom had to work, she was a single mother. So oftentimes if she was working, she'd like have me stay with friends, you know, to make sure that I still felt like I had a family around me, and they would welcome me, you know, treat me well. But then when I came to Ghana, at 16, it was the same environment, the same energy of that family, community, people taking care of you, even if you're not their child, right? And that changed something in my mind, because also growing up in America, you saw images of Africa, and me being even African, you're seeing your own people where there's a disconnect, there's poverty, there is war, there's corruption, everything negative that you can see is what's being fed to you. But then I come home where I'm cognizant of this, and I see that, no, this is family, this is community. And even if someone is living in poverty per se, they're happy, they have their family. You know, it's more than enough, and people are hardworking. So why is this the misconception in America? You know, and why is this becoming a part of my identity, that even if I'm around my friends who are American and they're like, you from Africa? You know, it's a problem where it's a negative connotation being African. And that was years ago, we've seen the switch now, but before then it was just, you're African? Do you guys live in tree? You know, the usual conversation or notes. But when I went home, I didn't feel that. And that turned it on for me in that moment. 16 years old, like, oh, there's opportunity here.
Wow,
opportunity.
at 16 years old,
at
you
16
realized
years
that.
Old, I realized it.
When you were growing up in the US, were you proud to say you were African, considering everything that you've just said?
So it was interesting. I battled with that part of my identity for a while. I would say that I was proud in my community because my mother created that environment. So my mom was a part of the Ghana Association, GWAG, Ghana Women's Association of Georgia. And then here I am, the little one just coming. I'm always there listening in the meetings, not contributing a thing, but listening, you know. But those were seeds being planted in me that I didn't realize. And then of course, I always say when I was at home, everything around me was Ghanaian. You know, I still, if uncles, aunties come to visit, I still have to greet them, give them their water, all of these things, you understand? And that was home. But when I would go out or I'd, you know, be at school or things of that nature, that was a little bit different. So it was a bit challenging because people often thought, again, they had this negative idea of what being African was. So sometimes if I said, you know, I'm African, or let's say we'd have a conversation about Africa, they'd be like, Jewel's African. And I'd be like, yes, I am. You know, and it was just something that I'm being put on the spot, but it felt bad. But again, when I came back, it was almost like, how do I say this? Almost like the pilgrimage. When I came back at 16, by the last year of my year in high school, after that, I was like, no, I'm proud to be African. I'm Ghanaian, yes. And I'd say it over and over again. And by the time I had finished high school, everyone knew, oh, yeah, that's Jules. She's from Africa.
She's from Ghana.
She's from Ghana, exactly. And it was no longer like this negative weight where it was like the girl from Africa. It was, you know, she's Ghanaian and she does this and her family, you know, it was a beautiful story that came with it.
Awesome. Because no, the reason why I mentioned that is that I remember having a conversation with somebody that lived in Atlanta that was ashamed to, you know, let people know that she's African because of the stigma and everything that came with it, that, you know, African Americans and even, you know, other cultures did not understand why you from Africa, like, do you know about Africa? So I'm glad that you've shared that, because a lot of people are still facing that and they're ashamed to say that they're African.
They are, and I mean, it's a difficult one, and that, I think, became almost my life's mission at a young age, was to, it's popular to say this term now, but literally when I was 18, 19, saying we need to change this narrative or shift the narrative to where even after winning Miss Ghana Georgia, I already had a vision of what I wanted to do. So I had, at that young age, I wanted about 17, 18, I think I'm getting my dates wrong, but I started my own nonprofit called Ghana Youth United. And the idea was that I was going to connect those back home to those within the diaspora here. So I used to do service projects and have them come together. And then from that, I got a bigger idea like, well, what if we talked more about what's going on back home? What if we had a platform to do that? And I had 3 other friends that came along with me. They're like, yeah, we believe in it. They were all Ghanaian as well. And so initially we were gonna do a conference for just young Ghanaians. And then I was like, no, there's a lot more of those in the diaspora and from other African countries that deserve to have a conversation. So it was back in 2010, so almost 10 years now, where we launched the Young African Leaders Conference. And we had—
Is that the one that you get funding for young people?
Well, no, with this one, it was just starting the platform. So even before, because it was funny, I was joking to myself, because right when I launched that, President Obama launched his YALI. And so I remember writing them ferocious, like, hello, let's partner. I started this already. You know, I'm excited, you know. But we launched ours, and it was a great turnout. I had well over 100 young people that I had never met, because I thought it was just going to be my network. But it was great of people who had heard about it. And I remember I was at a restaurant one day, and this man, he was an older man, he came up to me, he was like, oh, are y'all from Ghana? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, I'm going to this conference this weekend called the Young African Leaders Conference. Y'all should come. And I was like, it's my conference. So that, you know, that's when I knew that this meant something. People wanted this. This conversation needed to happen, and we held it. And then from there, I continued to have events in Atlanta and the city around the diaspora, holding networking events, conversations, showcasing talents, artistry, all of that. So I did that for, you know, up until I moved back home.
That's amazing. I want to touch on that. Do you think that if you were still staying in the US, we'll talk about the American dream, right? Do you think that you will still have those opportunities in America, but comparing the opportunities in Ghana, does it far outweigh what you think that you would probably be doing in America?
Not at all. So what's interesting to me is that I think that The beauty of America, and I'll give credit to that, is the structure that's around it. So when you have that structure and you have it in your schools, you have it in your systems, it creates a pathway almost where people feel like they can do anything. They're aspiring to do something. So what happens is that you end up having a very almost saturated market, because now everyone's excited. Because I promise, I thought I was unique in, doing this conference, and then Obama beat me to it, and made it bigger. Yeah. But, there's people that they have the same idea. So you find that there's more a crowded space, that once an idea takes off, everyone's going to start trying to do it, and the resources, opportunities are there. And when you come here, it's a new frontier, right? We're open. There's things that we need. There's ways that we can begin to integrate our culture, our dynamics into things that we've learned from abroad and make it better. And I think that's the beauty, that since being back, even under 2.5 years, going on 3 years, there's so much I've accomplished here in such a short amount of time that I'm thankful for what I was able to do in the States, but I can't compare the two. There's opportunity here for sure.
Definitely opportunities. So let's talk about when you came, okay? When you landed, getting a property. Did you find a property before you moved? Mm-hmm. What did you do?
That was, it was interesting. So moving back, I actually didn't even tell my mom I had planned to move back, It was something that it hit me in the spirit, where I was just like, there's something that I can do back home, and how do I do this? I was getting ready to transition in my career, and in that transition, I wanted to transition from industry to academia. And I was like, okay, I want to go back home. I want to make an impact. How do I do that? And everything started to align, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But, it started to align, and by the time I realized it, I was already coming to Ghana for my birthday, because I used to come back traditionally. Came back, and I finally told my mom, I said, Mom, I know you don't know this, but I have an interview. Wow. I've found an opportunity to interview. I'm planning on doing my doctorate here. So, if I get this interview and I go through this process, then I may be moving back to Ghana. And she was like, what? How? And so she was like, okay, well, you need to figure out some things. So that week or so, I had only 2 weeks here. The week before I interviewed, I started just going around looking for properties, trying to see the lay of the land. Luckily, my mom had some close friends here who knew of some available ones. And so I started the process here. After the interview was over, and I found out I got the position, then I knew it was time to kick things into high gear. So, selling my things, closing things out, paying off bills, doing all sorts of things in a matter of maybe 2 months that I had. And so I was putting all of those things together, and then working with the banking team that was here. At the time, it was with GHL, to kind of go through the funding process of the mortgage and things of that nature.
Ghana home loans.
Yes. Yeah. And so initially, so even with that process, it just kind of got tricky because of the original property that we had found. You learn fast and fairly quickly, not all that glitters is gold. Yes. Gold Coast, no, I'm just kidding. But so it fell through initially. And it was just a really big lesson learned about, of course, being able to just kind of take your time and, find something that fits, and, knowing that, some things are for you and sometimes they're not. And then it introduced me to the system that, in Ghana, it requires a lot of patience.
Yeah. And I think it also, like you said, you learn quite quickly from it. Even though you get disappointed, heartbroken or whatever, I'm sure the property that you saw at first, you fell in love with it and you wanted to get it, but you learn that, okay, I ain't doing that again. Like you said, the patience, I'm going to be more patient. I'm going to do more research and make sure that this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a green light for me. So how did you acquire this property? You've been promoting it for quite a bit. How did you find the property that we're in?
I had, so what happened is I ended up at an event. So shout out to Lexi. I was at the Diaspora event, Diaspora Drive, and I happened to see one of the property managers there, and he was explaining, the new property and what's happening and things of that nature. And so I was able to have a conversation with him. And initially I wasn't as interested because I thought, hey, I'm going to get this really elaborate compound, and I had that in the works. But then he stuck by and actually ended up becoming a really good friend and showing me the ropes and saying, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, and that's kind of how the process came to light.
Fantastic. And how do you see Ghana properties? Because obviously in Atlanta, I've been to Atlanta, the houses are huge. Okay, the houses are huge. Even the bathroom, you can make it into a bedroom. Like, how were you able to adjust yourself to smaller living?
Smaller living spaces. It's been interesting. I mean, you know, when I was younger in college, I had an apartment. So I likened it to, okay, I have my own space as apartment. You just kind of cut down to size. Yeah. But, you know, for me, it's a starting space. So it's an opportunity. You know, I hope to have my family soon that, of course, will be able to move and expand and be bigger. So it's somewhere to start. Yeah. I know that there are a lot of homes that when you build it from the ground up on your own, you can make it as big or as large as you would like. And I've seen those homes and I'm looking at them, I'm like, yes, you're my motivation. But you know, starting off small, that's just my idea, is that I plan to expand. I get more, get land, get what I need, and you know, build in the future for a family.
Okay. I don't know whether you guys can hear Asida. Asida is the dog, by the way, right? You know, Americans, they love dogs.
Yes.
Everybody's house in America, they have a dog. And Jules she's bought a dog, and I said, listen, me denta, crown mine, dogs. No, thank you. No matter how small they are, how big they are. Yeah. So she's a bit upset. Her name is Asida. She's a bit upset. So you might hear her intermittently throughout the conversation. But we're going to go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll delve more into the journey.
Imperial Homes Ghana in Great Britain has carved a niche for itself within the real estate industry as the premier provider of luxury homes in Ghana and England, with a mission to provide safe, good value, modern housing and personalized estate management services to its clients and customers. All our homes meet the Lifetime Home Standard, as well as the highest standards of engineering excellence, safety, environmental sustainability, and cost efficiency. Imperial Homes, a signature of luxury.
Coppead Card welcomes you to the land of gold, Ghana. The Coppead Card is a unique loyalty card which gives you the opportunity to enjoy discounts of up to 40% on goods and services. You enjoy discounts of the best of hotels, amazing restaurants, beauty lounges, spas, health centers, fashion houses, and shopping centers in Ghana. The Coppead Card can also be used as a prepaid Visa card with Access Bank, our partners, offering you conveniences on all payment platforms. Applications is safe, secure, and valuable. Call us or WhatsApp us on 0245 156 705. Visit www.gooberdiaspora.com. Coppead Card, the best discount card in Ghana. Welcome back from that short commercial break. I'm still joined by Miss Ghana herself, Jewel. You mentioned that there was something that struck you, right? There was a spiritual thing that said it's time to kind of go back home. When that struck you, is that when you started looking for jobs in Ghana?
Yes,
Okay.
it was. It was definitely that spiritual led where I was working. What I was doing before is that I used to work with a large NGO in the United States. And so what we did is that it was on the basis of like financial inclusion, financial literacy. And so I managed their business department. So we would work with a 12-week entrepreneur training program. I'd be training people within the community how to start their businesses. And then I was connected to a bank. And so from that, we would not only focus on the business side of things, but then how do we get your personal finances and credit up to speed so that now that you get your certification through this program, you can come here and potentially get a banking product that can help you scale your business up. So I was seeing this and working within the community, and particularly Black and brown people were my primary target. And I was like, I wonder what this looks like at home. You know, what does the entrepreneurial landscape look like in Ghana? How does it work? How does it function? Is the same challenges that I'm seeing here happening there, or is it different? And that kind of hit me, and it kept coming to me. Like my mom, even bring her back in, she was having dreams about, you know, push, go for it. Like that's what she kept hearing spiritually was push. She was like, I don't know why I'm hearing this. And, you know, again, when I made that decision, I didn't know how I was going to do it. Everyone, I barely told friends. I didn't really tell family. I didn't tell anyone. I was just thinking, like, going on that push, what does that mean? So then, again, as I mentioned, I wanted to transition into academia because it became important for me to understand what is the research, the questions why, to these things about entrepreneurship that I'm curious about the continent. And looking through a lot of papers, I didn't really see what we call the seminal papers that are written by, our Black and African scholars. And they're there, but they're very sparse.
Yeah.
So what would happen if I, as a Black and African woman, take the charge to say, I'm going to be the one that gets into this space and start writing, creating the frameworks that needs to happen. And so how do I do this? So I eventually found a program called the PhD Project that supports minority Black students who are interested in getting a doctorate in business. And I applied and I was admitted into that. And it was just a training over the weekend to understand what it means to pursue your doctorate. And then from there, I wanted to confirm, do I really care about research? I'm coming from industry. How do I keep this going? So I picked up a research associate gig with Emory at Guazeta Business School. And so we were studying some of the coffee farmers in Latin America and the women, and talking about gender parity and do they get paid more, do they get paid less? And it was an interesting project, and I was like, I do love this. And so from there, I remembered a dear friend of mine. When I was younger, again, he was a little bit older, he was graduating from Ashesi, and Ashesi had just started, and I was like, what is that? I wonder what's happening with this Ashesi thing. What is this? Yeah. And I happened to
another diasporan.
Right.
Yeah, another
diasporan.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what drew me in. Yeah. It's like I looked on it and I was like, wow, the mission is educating ethical, entrepreneurial African leaders. Yeah. And that stuck a chord with me. I was like, if this isn't God telling me to go somewhere, I don't know what is. And then, finding out more about Patrick and his story, his vision to move back and start something, to see Ghana the way that he wanted to see it for his children. That story motivated me. So I ended up looking through the business department and happened upon another lecturer, or professor rather, who had works that I was interested in. And I just reached out like, I'm interested in this space, and here's what I'm doing here, because I was already working in the startup community in Atlanta. I was working with entrepreneurs. I was already doing some level of design thinking. So I said, all right, this might be an opportunity to do this. And he said, we happen to have a position available if you're interested.
Wow, wait. Mm-hmm. So the job was not advertised?
It wasn't. That's God.
The job was not advertised. That's why I want to make a point, okay? The job was not advertised. You went there.
I went there.
To have a conversation.
To have a conversation.
And then they told you that there's a job available.
Yes. I actually even went to just find a mentor because of my switch, my transition, because, I had teaching from an industry perspective, but from academic, it's completely different. And, when he reached out, he was like, yeah, I think you'd be a good fit. Like, we need another mind like this. So I said, okay, great. And then that's why I said that story where within a week or two, I didn't tell Mom, but I was already coming to Ghana. And then it worked out where they were willing to allow me to come and do my interview in my teaching simulation the same week that I happened to be back. That's where I was like, I have an interview. Where I snuck it there. I was like, okay. I didn't know any of this was going to happen because typically the process is a lot longer, and so that's God's grace and alignment to say, this is where you're supposed to be. And there's that push again to come out and do this because you're supposed to be here. So when I went through, did my simulation, had a chance to meet the staff, meet the team, and speak to my work. And I was nervous, as usual, but this was where I felt I had to be. And then a week or two later, right before I left, they called me and said, we have a job for you, you can come. Wow. And so now I had to figure out everything else from there, where I was like,
you're working backwards.
I'm working backwards. I'm like, okay, I have a job, but I don't have a home. I have my things still in Atlanta. What am I doing? I haven't resigned from my job. I'm like, what is going on? What did I just do? And I just pushed, and so it was the best decision I ever made. And I think for them working on this campus where you have so many brilliant African minds who are truly inspired by the work that they do. You don't see that often sometimes, where people are miserable, they're frustrated. But this truly again, there goes that community phrase where it is a community. And I love what I do because I get to impact young lives. Wow. And I get to start them where they're young because I teach a first-year course called Foundations of Design and Entrepreneurship. Okay. I also teach our social enterprise course. And that one, when I led that, it was great connecting. I took my students from Ghana and actually did a project with students in Cleveland, Ohio. Wow. So I had my students doing a cross-project, experiential project there, and then eventually traveled to Ohio with them so they can understand what the social enterprise network looks like in the States, what that looks like in Ghana. So teaching these courses, working with a phenomenal team such as I do at Ashesi, and even having someone as visionary as Patrick to kind of be at the center of saying, this is where you're supposed to be, it's the most amazing experience that I've ever had. And I feel as though teaching, academia, it's all helping me get to that point of, being able to, again, bring my cultural or my research question around sociocultural influences for entrepreneurs in Ghana.
This woman, oh God. Amazing. Honestly, I'm just trying to take it all in because when we are coming to Ghana, when somebody's moving to Ghana, right, you're finding a lot more entrepreneurs that are coming to set up their own business, not necessarily trying to knock on the door of corporates, okay, working in a university. And I think that having just the confidence, okay, that you had, a lot of people they're thinking, oh, if it's not advertised or whatever, but I think you just had a positive mind. You knew what you wanted. Yeah. You went there, and God just had planned everything for you. I think that people in the diaspora need to be encouraged. Yes. Sometimes it might not be just that you want to set up your own business, but actually you can feed into the system to help the country, and you are helping young people develop.
Yes. It's absolutely true. I mean, there's a quote I saw, and I'm going to misinterpret it a little bit, but it was talking about the power of just being a teacher is that you just never know when your influence ends because you influence one child, and then they grow up, and they influence their children, and then that's all comes from you deciding to just simply teach them something. And that's the most powerful kind of language that I understand is teaching because I've been taught and I seek to learn all the time. And so even coming back home, learning about my identity, who I am, it makes sense now. Everything from, meeting aunties that I've never known, to seeing cousins and everything. It's showing me who I am, right? And I didn't realize that my desire to help people came from an aunt who used to do this. I didn't know that, right? That's amazing to me because again, when you're in the States, you have that duality of who am I, right? Am I American? Am I Jewel Thompson? Or am I Jewel Nana? Thompson, is that me? And the beauty of this is that it seeps so well to understanding who I am and what I came to do. And I think for others who are thinking about coming home, or even just a part of the diaspora, much to your point, it's not just about coming here and starting something, because that may not be your calling. What may be for you is even to simply be in your homes and educate your children about Africa. That's it, and that is your part that you're playing, because you don't have to move here to do that, but you can change that story so that there aren't little children still going, you from Africa, at this day and age. We have more people that are proud to say, oh yes, I think I have a great grandmother from, Africa, or from, Malawi, from Ghana, from this. Like, that is more important. And then at the same time, even if you're at home, think about working with those who are already here in the system, those who are creating the shade, those who are, suppliers of sort. Get them into your grocery stores in the States. Start those connections. That's you doing your part. And then also, I would say, choose to vacation in Africa. Ghana being, of course, a favorite. But of course, make it something that's more social to you, rolls off your lips instead of, it's not throwing shade, but instead of saying, I'm going to Paris, get excited and say, I'm going to Botswana. That's a great thing to say. And then the more and more we have of that type of traction, the more we put Africa and Ghana alike in the global conversation, and we increase our value of what we have to offer, because now more people come, they interact, they engage, they see opportunities. So yes, you can choose to move back, great, like me, take the risk, the push, or you can choose to do your part. Where you are. In any capacity. And even if, let's say, you are in industry, come to Ashesi. We would love for you to come and, teach a class one day, or just come and visit, be a part of one of our fellowships. that's an opportunity for you as well. So
Amazing.
everyone can fit in somewhere and do their part.
Fantastic. And when you did all of that, and then you told your friends and your family in Atlanta that I'm moving to Ghana, did they discourage you? Did they say you're mad? Are you crazy? What was their reaction?
The only one who supported was Grace, my mother. She was shocked at first, like, hey, Abner, are you sure? Why? Where is this coming from? But she was like, oh, okay. But, friends were like, really? Why? And then even friends who, are first generation like myself were like, what are you doing? I would never go back. Wow. And I'm like, ooh, that's tough. So for a minute, I was scared. I was like, am I making the right decision? Does this make sense? Everyone else is kind of looking at me like, why? What is this? But the truth of the matter is that, again, my journey is different from theirs. And it's absolutely okay if they felt like it was not for them, then it's not for them to come here and do the work, because moving back requires a certain type of person, because it's not easy. Yeah. If it was easy, then everybody would be here, luxury, enjoying, but it's not. You will get frustrated. There will be things I call privilege problems that frustrate you, where you're like, when I'm in the States, this doesn't happen. All of that happens to you, but it takes a special type of person, and it's absolutely okay if that's just not you. But for a slight moment, I was discouraged. I was nervous. I questioned it, but again, it came down to that prayer. And once I just kind of got that peace about what I was doing, and then everything kept aligning from the work that I had. I even had an amazing research project. Even when the house didn't work, something else popped up. Everything just kept coming together, and I couldn't be more than thankful. So it was for me.
Wow. So it's been nearly 3 years.
Yes.
Has there been at any point within those 3 years where you felt like, you know what, I want to go back?
I think for me, there was a brief moment, because my body couldn't adjust at the time, so I kept getting sick. That was one thing. Of course, when I wasn't able to get the first home, I saw that as a big loss. And then on top of that, my mother actually wasn't here. She was in the States, and she was unwell. And so I was just like, what am I doing? Like, at that point, I'm like, nothing seems to be working as smoothly as I thought. I mean, the only thing that was going well was, of course, where I was working and what I was doing. I loved that, but everything personally just seemed to be awry, and I felt like I couldn't kind of catch like my footing. I couldn't get sturdy on a foundation. It felt too shaky. And I was just like, should I do this? Like, what am I doing? And then, you're dashing out cash so quickly, far more quickly than you expect. And I'm just like, what am I doing? And, I ended up, for me, I'm very spiritually based, so I ended up finding a really good church here. And in being in church, getting that spiritual support, creating some friends, a small circle of friends who supported me, and still having support of my friends who did think I was a crazy initially in the States, supporting me as well. It kind of gave me the encouragement that I needed to stay here. And then the other blessing was the fact that I was able to, move my mother back home too. So when Cher helped,
so you moved your mom back.
Mama. That's God again, where I was like, well, I'm a Grace, come on back,
Wow.
So being able to move her back home and being...
And was she okay?
She wasn't in the best condition when she came back.
Wow.
It was really, really tough. Wow. It was tough. That was me taking on a new role in my life as a caretaker. Wow. And I didn't realize how much that would impact me. Wow. So I switched positions almost, where, again, my mom for, all 30-something, taking care of me. Yeah. She's given my inspiration, and to see her unwell, to see her in a position where she felt helpless, I was just thankful.
Do you mind talking about it?
Yeah, sure, I can talk about it. So, unfortunately, my mom came down with a couple of ailments, even right before I left, where she had a condition of the heart, and she ended up having to get a pacemaker placed in. And she suffers from a bit of osteoporosis, some arthritis, and then other type of heart challenges. And then she ended up getting some challenges within her stomach as well. And when all of that started to happen, I saw the woman that was, the strong, she handles everything. She is it. My mom was just my light for me, just starting to just, deteriorate before me. But then I said no. I told myself, no, this is not going to happen. Wow. And my mom, being the strong woman that she is, she became a prayer warrior, wow, more greater than what she was. And she was like, it's okay, I'm gonna come home. Wow. And when we got her home, it took some time, but we found the right doctors. Wow. In Ghana, yes.
And that's let's stick on this point, please.
Yes.
People are scared of healthcare in Ghana. And they feel as if, you know, internationally is better.
Yeah.
But you took that risk.
Took the risk.
Bringing your mum. And you found, like you said, the right doctor to take care of her.
Yes.
So there are good doctors.
There are.
In Ghana.
There are.
Okay, continue.
So I definitely wanted, yes, there are definitely great doctors in Ghana who have come back as well to play their part, and I'm thankful to them. And today, you know, before you, my mom is very shy about this, but I say that this is her warrior survivor story, because it's been a turnaround for her, and to see her just as active as she is now, back to herself almost, and just regulated.
And looking beautiful.
Like, you know, like she is my light. And you know, it is amazing and a blessing now that I look at it again to be like, wow, I'm taking care of my mother. If I was in the States, you know, sometimes you're living your own life, she's in her home, I'm in my place, and you know, it becomes this relationship where, okay, how are you doing? You're okay, okay, bye, love you, and that's it. But now life has turned around where she's with me, she's here, and you know, at this point in time in her life, she gets to rest. And that's a blessing.
That is a blessing. And I think you've been a blessing to her as well.
Thank you.
As much as, you know, she's been a blessing to you. You're both blessing each other.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. How has social life been here? Because you're tall. I'll talk about the height because, you know, especially if you're talking about Ashanti people, we're not that tall, right?
Right.
So how has it been finding somebody that you might want to, you know, be the same height as you?
It's the funniest thing, because I mean, definitely I am tall. I'm about 5'11", almost 6 feet. So, you know, that can be intimidating.
When you put the heel on, you are not how
I'm probably like 6'2" with heels on.
Thank you.
So, you know, it's like, that can be intimidating, you know, to our Ghanaian men. Of course, they're like, hey, you know. I'm like, it's me. But, you know, it hasn't been as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know, I always tell, like, my girlfriends, they'll ask me, so, what's going on? How are the men out there? And I'd be like, look, sis. It's interesting. It's a really interesting dating scene, per se, where, you know, you have opportunities, I guess, to meet those people who maybe are aligned with what you have to do and things of that nature. But I've been lucky enough to, you know, be able to find the person that loves my height and, you know, is absolutely okay. So, yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. The height doesn't kill it at all. So.
That's good. That's good. So there's a dating scene in Ghana, guys. There is a social life, and you will find Mr. Right in Ghana. He's not from the diaspora. Is he based here?
He's from the diaspora. Based here. I'm sorry, I didn't do the right thing. But based here. Based here. Came back to on a mission. So
he moved as well.
Yeah. So
maybe you never know. I might have him on the show.
Diasporan love story, right?
Yes. But okay, to end the show, I want 5 things that you would tell a diasporan before they move to Ghana.
All right, so before you move to Ghana, especially if you're coming from abroad, make sure your finances are together. That is key. So if you have any types of debt or revolving debt, as we call it, make sure you can clear up as much credit card debts that you have, because you want to be able to be at least a little bit cash positive when you come here, because Ghana is definitely progressive, but it can be expensive, especially if you're attempting to keep a similar lifestyle to what you may have had in the States. Number 2 is make sure that you have created or developed a network for yourself here and abroad. So start now. So even after watching this show or the more of the shows that Denta's going to have on, start connecting and reaching out to people so that you can build your networks here, so that you can find a job, you can find an opportunity, you can figure out where your best fit is, because you also don't want to come here without a plan. Without having a plan, you're planning to fail, because it will get challenging. Number 3 is come with an open mind. Be willing to be adaptable and change and adjust to the change well. Again, Ghana is not one size fits all. It is a motley of so many experiences that will bless you, that will challenge you, that will make you question your sanity, but it's absolutely okay, because you can adjust and be adaptable and make it work. Number 4, I would say, be willing to explore all of the cultures of Ghana. So, you know, my dad is just Ashanti, my mom is a Chim, but, you know, she's from the Eastern region, my dad's from Kumasi side, but there's an opportunity to explore all of the rich cultures of Ghana that goes even beyond the Ashanti Kingdom. So be willing to say, I'm going to become immersed in the culture and understand the people and why we do the things we do and why we are the way that we are. And I guess number 5 is, of course, to simply pursue that passion. If you find yourself inspired by our journeys, as we're sharing them with you, we're probably all available to connect with, but, push yourself to go beyond your comfort zone, even if someone has told you a scary story about making the leap, but push, and then recognize that you can build a bridge as well. So if you land here and you realize there's still an opportunity to do good work from wherever you're coming from, create a bridge instead, so that even when you come here, you can plant some roots and you can go back and continue watering and nurturing from where you are. So that's what I'd say.
Love it, absolutely. Tell me about some of the projects that you're working on,
Definitely.
and then the global shapers as well.
For sure. So when I was in Atlanta, I was working with a lot of different young people. We were all movers and shakers, and I found, I went to one event where it was just well done. It was international, and I was like, who put this on? And I found out from one of the young ladies there that she was like, oh, we're shapers. And I was like, what is that? And she was like, the Global Shapers is a part of the World Economic Forum. So it's an aspect of focusing on young leaders who are, pushing their communities forward wherever they may be, in a sense, shaping their communities. And I was like, oh, I want to be a part of that. How do I do that? And she was like, well, we are recruiting, so you have an opportunity to apply. And so I applied because at the time I was still pushing my own work. I was working with another not-for-profit organization where I was actually one of the younger program leads, helping them to run about 6 different projects of their own, where we were focused on just social justice within Atlanta. And I applied and I got in. And from there, I actually just from the start took on a leadership role where I served as the membership curator, finding other young people like ourselves who would probably fit our hub and our group. And I mean, this group was phenomenal. I had never been taken aback or felt like I felt this close to my tribe in a long time, because you had young people who were CEOs, they were doctors, they were lawyers, they were activists, grassroots activists, they were this, they were that, every title you can imagine. But then these were people that weren't just doing it for the accolades. They were really doing this work. And that inspired me because I was like, I've never seen this before in my life. And by my 3rd year of being a part of it, I was eventually nominated and voted on as curator, which is the leader or the president of the hub.
Wow.
So I was able to take the hub in a new direction in Atlanta. So putting on different projects where we were focusing on some of the schools in our communities. We were starting to build up an opportunity to work with entrepreneurship, tying it back in.
Yeah.
We work with Techstars, which is a really big platform in Atlanta, to put on a program for them. And then by the time I left, we'd put so much structures in that the next year, because I had aged out per se, the next year they were able to host the North American Shaper meeting, like the global annual meeting in Atlanta. And then even prior to me leaving, I was invited to Geneva, where we had our annual curators meeting and actually got a chance to present in front of the WEF community of young shapers about just the concept around public and private policy and how that works together and how we can start to build more communities through that structure. And this was just kind of the start of me developing projects, launching them, figuring out how does this work, because I felt myself to be just like a global citizen almost, although I was Ghanaian, because even when I did my MBA, I did that as a global approach, where I went to school in Paris for some time, a part of my global MBA, so at the Sorbonne, and then I was in Brazil, and then I was in China, then I was back in Georgia. So it was this whole thing, and it kept making me see the world in a different way, which allowed me also to say, okay, how does Ghana, how does Africa fit into this global conversation? And there are shapers here in Accra as well. So when you come, you see the different hubs and things of that nature. But that is kind of what launched in my head, that there's more room for us to have the types of projects that put African businesses, African-owned businesses at the forefront. And so I'm working on a project right now called Eco Launch, which kind of builds off of work that I'm already doing at the university, which is supporting young entrepreneurs, but taking this approach of how do I get them to the point where I help them to build their businesses where they're ready for the global market to launch them into that space. So making sure, again, that bridge is being built, and my connections in Atlanta aren't fizzled to the side, but I'm able to push them into that market as well. So there's that, and then I also have affiliate consulting, which is something where I'm changing it and giving an opportunity for those that are interested in coming back or wanting to connect to Africa. They can do so in specialized travel options for them.
Okay, so how do people get in touch?
Yes, definitely.
Some of these,
so you can visit the website as well.
Yeah.
So that'll be up ready for you all. So you can go, if you're interested in the works we'll be doing at EcoLaunch, it's www.ecolaunch.com. And then for the work with the travel, www.afiegroup.com. So that's an opportunity for you. If you just need a best friend in Ghana, if you feel like I want to come here, but I don't know anyone, I can definitely be your best friend. I've helped a lot of people come back. You know, people will say, my friend is coming to Ghana, can you host them? I do it all the time.
Oh, wow.
And I've gotten, you know, a great system of friends now because of that. So I was like, why don't I just do this for everyone that wants to come back and just feels like they just need someone here. So yeah, that's what I'm choosing to do next.
That's amazing. Yeah. You're giving back as well
giving
to
back.
Those people in the diaspora who are trying to come back and giving them that soft landing.
Exactly.
That soft landing that they need.
Yes.
But again, thank you so much for joining me on the show. It's been amazing. It's been inspiring. And I've fallen in love with your mum. She's now my mum too.
Yes, please. She's everyone's mum. Come
Auntie Grace, you're my mum too. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the show. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.